Hey everyone, it's Armen from ArmensCraftRoom. Thanks for joining me again today for another video. Today we'll cut our first card with the Harry Potter set from Paperhouse. And I thought we'd make it an encouragement here with this Dumbledore sticker. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. Isn't that just an awesome sentiment? If you'd like to watch this paper turned into a card with this sticker, stay tuned. Alright, so I've pulled out these two papers. Got this one with the different spell names and wand movements on it. And on the back it has spell names in blue. And then we've got the castle paper on one side and the crest paper on the other. So I did find this quote twice, once on this Dumbledore sticker and then again on a cutout. I've also pulled out the little icon stickers that are clear backed and the washi tape from the pack as well. Alright, let's get crafting. First things first, we need to cut off this branding strip. We'll put branding strip in the trimmer and should cut right at 12 inches. Sadly, this is wasted paper. Some companies will put more pattern paper without all these words on it or a sentiment on here that you can reuse, but this one's not going to be reusable, which is unfortunate. If you just wanted a very slight lift or you wanted to stack a bunch of them together, you could glue them together underneath your items, kind of like a foam tape substitute, but I think you'd need quite a few. Alright, so let's check out what we've got here. I think these stickers look like they match both really well. Well, it should all match, I suppose. I think we like the Phoenix on the wand one best. Yeah, Dumbledore looks good on both. Alright. Although that does pull in some of the yellow. Maybe we'll do this. We'll do Dumbledore on the wand because he's got his wand out. We can use these wands here. And then we'll do the Phoenix on the crest paper. Maybe do some books or something like that. Or the Harry Potter crest on the side. So now that we know what we're going to put together, we can start cutting. Alright, so this is directional. And we've got the words in this direction here, so go ahead and I'm actually going to cut this at 4.5 inches. Excuse me, an extra 1/4 inch larger than my card. And we'll do 5 3/4. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to tear it and age it with some ink blending. It'll be really fun. And we'll set this aside for now. Alright, so I just want to do a little bit of a tear towards me. And this paper tears very easily and cleanly. It's quite thick. Now, the goal is to get this somewhere around 4 inches by 5 1/4 once we're done. So that's why we cut it a little bit large to make room. That's a little bit bigger tear than I was looking for. Alright. If you collage, you could try to save these, but honestly there's so little it's difficult to tell what paper pack it even came from, so you could also recycle. Crafter's choice. And now we just need some ink and blending brush. Alright, I've selected the Stampin' Up! Crumb Cake ink. I think that's going to be a pretty close match. I don't want it to be crazy dark, just a little bit darker. Alright, we'll gently tap the brush, get it started, and I'm basically just looking to dye the torn edges and maybe a smidgen of the paper. The blue on the other side is kind of making an unusual color looking here with as it flips. That's unfortunate. Right, now the edges are looking a bit aged. I'm just kind of bring it in just a little bit. Leave our brush clean. We're gonna need a card base. I'm gonna trim our back. And this one is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Oops. This is just an older paper Dremel. I replaced the trim blade with a score blade, makes it a little bit faster. You can totally just fold these in half. The scoring helps keep the paper from breaking because I do use 110 and 120 pound cardstock on my bases. Just a little bit thicker. And use a bone folder to really add to the crease. All right. There we go. We were able to get this to work out, so I do want to put a little something extra on the front. Let's see. Now Dumbledore's sticker, he has some blue, so we can use a little bit of blue here. Right. I think I want to pull this blue in. So this extra sheet will do 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's the size of the card front. We'll save the strips for the inside potentially, depending on how they look. Okay. Now, we don't want to waste this perfectly good paper, so I am going to suggest that prior to putting it on the card that you die cut out the middle. Alright, I thought this one would be fun. My favorite thing's Elegant Stitch Stack. It makes like an archway, and I thought that would be really cool with this paper because we're going to use the die cut on a different card. This is a Spellbinders Platinum 6. So you just want to make your sandwich. Have the bottom plate. A little cutting shim. I have a scrapbook.com magic mat. Love this. Alright, blue side up. That's where we want the stitching. And we want to actually pull out one of these dies that's going to be pretty much the size of this paper here, because this is what's going to cover it. I think that's as big as we can go. And we're going to cut 2 of these. We're going to cut one out of this pattern paper, then we're going to cut it again of a white paper and put it underneath so our card doesn't have a hole underneath. And I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so just to be sure, we're cutting out of the blue paper with this die. I'm going to get it right in the middle. Then you put the clear plate over top and roll it through. So now we've got a nice stitched hole that we're not wasting, and it's completely covered up by what we want to use, which is great. And for a future project, as this is specialty paper, we have a stitched background, which is really fun. And it's kind of a reverse stitch on this side, but it did come out really well, so you could use either side. This is the front technically though. Alright, so now we'll grab scratch paper and do it again. Alright, so just have some spare paper, and I'm going to stick this in the same sandwich on my die cutting machine, and we're doing this to keep our card level. So when you cut a hole that large out of the background, it's really going to be noticeable, especially after the card goes through the mail. If you're hand delivering, it's probably going to be okay, but once it goes through the mail meter machines, it will look like it has a divot in it. Alright, so now that we have all of our pieces, let's start assembling this card. We have our card base, our white die cut, and our Harry Potter pieces. So first thing we're going to do is put the Harry Potter piece on, because that's going to help us line up the white piece. And make sure you glue really well. And we'll lay that down. Alright, so then we've got our archway. And it doesn't matter which direction the stitching goes, because he's not going to see it. And then we're just going to line it right up like a puzzle piece and fill in the gap. Oops. That's why it's scratch paper, it does that. And now you can see that it's level. When you push on it, there's no distinction. This would have been an indent with this card had you not done that. And I'd like some texture on this, so we're actually going to crunch it up like a ball. Okay. Kind of aging it. We'll bring back our scrap and we'll just kind of hit the top of it with our brush again. I think we ran out of ink, so pull out the crumb cake one more time. Tap, tap. Now this is just a gentle going over. We really just want to get the wrinkles highlighted. I'm barely touching the brush to the paper. I really am just looking to get these elevated crinkles done. Alright. So now we've aged it. Wipe the brush off. And flip this over. Use a trusty glue once you've done this, because it does give dimension to the paper. It doesn't lay flat anymore. And make sure it's right side up, and then we'll place it back on our card front, smoothing it down. It's okay if it's got some gaps there. And this Dumbledore, I really think that I might have a blue this color in plain cardstock. Right, if you have a lot of colors cardstock, I recommend making a little sample here, a sample ring, so it's got a little bit of all the colors with the name on it. I buy Stampin' Up! Paper. My demonstrator makes these for us every year. They're amazing. I don't necessarily have all the colors on here, but most of them, so it's a great tool. And so this way I'm just kind of looking for the blues, and I think this gray would be a little bit closer to blue. Alright, so this gray is kind of close, but obviously it's not blue. And then we've got this other blue, which is kind of close but needs gray. So I think I'm going to take maybe the gray cardstock and add blue ink to it, and we'll see how that pans out. Alright, I got my Smokey Slate cardstock and my brush. We'll add some Stampin' Up! Boho blue ink, and let's see how this turns out. We're going for this color blue here. And you know what, if it doesn't work out, it's alright. It's kind of scrap paper, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. It's not bad. Add a little more ink, and then I think we'll add some gray ink to it as well. That might do the trick. Alright, and on the Smokey Slate. Just going to wipe off my brush first. And tap it in the ink. darkened it up a bit too much. But fortunately we don't need a lot, so we'll just make sure the brush is clean, and we'll just go through and rebrush just the blue, because that one looked a little bit better. Okay. Alright, ink blending is done. We'll give it a second to dry. It shouldn't take very long because it's dye ink. Clean off the brush. Alrighty. Now this Dumbledore sticker, he's pretty sticky, but I'm going to add extras just in case he's got to survive the mail. Okay. And now, seems weird I put him in the middle, but that was on purpose because I'm going to cut him out. I'll just save this panel for another time. It'll be nice for something else, I'm sure. Okay. This sticker is pretty easy to fussy cut. It's basically a rectangle. Now, I think we're gonna need a little bit more. That could look cute. Alright, let's glue this together. We're going to need some 3D foam dots. This is our scrap, put it about in the middle. I'm going to press that down so the glue seals really well. It's okay if it makes a little bit of a dent. Alright, our Dumbledore, we're going to want to put these foam dots under. And we'll line him up, pressing him down gently. And do we want, I think we're going to want one of these wands. Maybe both wands, actually. Right. Now, this little sliver, it doesn't have a lot of pattern left to it, but we do have some washi, none of which really makes sense with the front of our paper, to be perfectly honest. So I think that we'll just leave this undecorated because, yeah, this is too narrow to make sense. All right. So here's our first encouragement card with Harry Potter. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. We've aged the cardstock by crumpling it, tearing it, and ink staining it with crumb cake. We created our own solid color backing with Smokey Slate cardstock and Boho blue ink, both from Stampin' Up. It's a little bit of a harsh corner. And we've used some of the icon stickers. You could put stickers on the inside. I don't think it's necessary, so. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to see more Harry Potter cards, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel with notifications on, so YouTube will let you know when the next video comes out. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could like it. That will help YouTube know that you enjoyed the video, and they'll send it out to more people who may also like it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and have a great day.